Hello and welcome. This is Fireworks. Perhaps one of the most talked about anti-corruption cases in the year 2017 was that involving the former chairman of the Presidential Pension Reform Task Team, Alhaji Abdulrasheed Maina. The issues arising from Maina's alleged culpability or not have not been laid to rest, some of which include: has the EFCC relented in its investigation of Abdulrasheed Maina? Is he guilty or not? What exactly is the status of his reinstatement into the Federal Civil Service? These and more will form the crux of our discussion today on Fireworks as I bid you welcome to your preferred Hard Talk investigative program on TVC. Let's take a moment. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. Today I have with me a member of what is now the defunct Presidential Reform Task Team, the Executive Secretary of the Legislative Board and a former member of the House of Representatives, in the person of Comrade Ngosika, Ihuoma. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome to Fireworks.
Thank you.
Tell us exactly, what is the status of Abdulrasheed Maina's reinstatement into the civil service? Is he working now, or is he still on the run?
Thank you. First of all, Maina was reinstated via a letter from the Minister of Interior that was dated the 28th of September 2017. And he resumed work exactly 2nd of October. And he worked up to 21st October before we had a letter that emanated from the office of the SA to the President of Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina. I said that Mr. President had asked for his disengagement from the service. And we're all aware that as a civil servant, his employers are the Federal Civil Service Commission. And of course, these are the people who reinstated him via their instruction to the Minister of Interior.
Now, is it safe to suggest that the President, who was in on the reinstatement of Abdulrasheed Maina, which was allegedly discussed by the Minister of the Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Justice Minister, in which the President was carried along, but which the head of service, Madam Oyo Ita, was not in support of? And on television, we saw Madam Oyo Ita in a heated discussion with the Chief of Staff. And she later revealed that she warned the President about the consequences of reinstating Abdulrasheed Maina. So is it safe to suggest that following these series of events, the President had a rethink and ordered this circular? And doesn't he have the powers to demand the report, as this circular suggests, and to recommend that he be disengaged from service if he's found culpable in pension fraud, as was the case where he was alleged in 2013?
Thank you. For a start, his reinstatement followed every legal and known procedure. This judgment here was clear, and it stated quite clear that the Senate in 2011 did not meet the constitutional provision to investigate the pension scheme. So all their sittings were declared illegal, null and void. And based on that, this judgment was brought to the attention of this government when they came to power. And a series of letters were written to them, for which the Attorney General of Federation, Malami SAN, advised, based on the fact that there was no appeal, there was no encumbrance on this judgment, he advised the Federal Civil Service Commission, the appropriate body that is in charge of employment, discipline, the promotion and disengagement or retirement of civil servants, to take a second look at the procedure of Maina's disengagement in 2013. That was followed. So they had what they call inter-ministerial agency, which included the Office of the Head of Civil Service, the Ministry of Interior, and the Federal Civil Service Commission. They have a board. This board sat and took a review. The President Head of Service nominated a permanent secretary who participated, and so the office was properly carried along. Now, eventually they saw reasons and they discovered that he should come back to service.
Which year was this?
That was in 2017.
2017.
That was what led to the letter that I
So this head of service was
fully
fully in the know.
Fully in the know. Fully
She
involved.
nominated
Yes,
a permanent secretary
yes,
to sit on that board. So how did she?
Now let us go there.
Okay.
Now, based on this, what Nigerians did not know is that prior to Minor being fully reabsorbed, there had been a discussion going on between him and the government, because as soon as this government was elected in February 2015,
okay,
we wrote, members of task team, I in particular from my organization, Leisurely Watch, wrote to Mr. President, addressed a press conference where we made it clear that Minor is being victimized. Please, Mr. President, one of your cardinal points is that you want to fight corruption. And if you want to fight corruption, look for Minor. Minor has evidence and information of where funds had been stashed out severally, and that is why he's being haunted. His life is under threat. But if you get at him, he will provide this information. And that was exactly what led in 2016 January for the visit.
This was in the early days of this administration.
Yes, in the early days. That was what led for the visit of the AGF and National Security Advisor when they went to Dubai.
Okay.
In that Dubai, they met him in a hotel. And he expressed his fear because he had been shot twice. His life was under threat. So he was hiding, running away to safely save his face. Because the very minute he's killed, this whole matter of Minor is gone.
So if this current head of service was in the know and nominated a permanent secretary to sit on a panel that discussed Minor's reinstatement and discovered that indeed he was being victimized and that he qualifies to return to the service, why did she also say to the president or reveal to Nigerians that she warned the president duly about the consequences of reinstating Minor, following the hue and cry that trailed his reinstatement?
Now, there are things that many Nigerians do not know between Minor and the current head of service, or the position of the head of service. The head of service now used to be the director of finance in the head of civil service when Minor was probing the head of service, the pension scheme in head of service. And it had been revealed that there used to be 5.3 billion naira given to that particular office every month.
She used to be the head of finance.
Head of finance and accounts. So there used to be about 5.3 billion monthly allocated to that office for payment of pensions and gratuities. But when Minor's team came and did the biometrics and everything, it came down to 1.6 trillion. Now the question is, the excess of 3-point-something billion every month, where was it going to?
What are you suggesting?
Okay. Now, arrests were being made, people were being picked up before they gang up to remove Minor, and it was removed.
So are you suggesting, because at the start of your commentary you said what Nigerians do not know is that this current head of service was the head of finance.
The head of finance.
When Abdurrashid Maina
was probing, looking into restructuring.
The books.
Yes, the head of civil service of the Federation.
In respect with pension reform.
Yes, pension.
And 5.2 billion was going to her office.
Her office.
And after his own biometric work, he discovered that
it
was
to about 1.6.
1.7. So are you suggesting that she may have been culpable?
Yes, I'm not suggesting. We are putting it to her that she knew how the balance was being distributed.
She knew how the balance was being distributed.
Good. And that is what will have given
So that
her,
informed her turnaround.
Yeah, that affront. Because if you look at that affront, when you say you are one Mr. President, not to bring back a civil servant, you are supposed to advance reasons. And what was the reasons? Now, almost 11 months after, as of today, the Nigerians might even have not been told why he shouldn't.
These things that you talk about.
Yes.
Is the current administration aware of this? The EFCC was a member of the Pension Reform Task Team. Is the EFCC aware?
Yes.
Is Mr. President aware?
Everybody. The documents are there, the achievements are there, and nobody has contradicted anything.
And she has not been invited for questioning?
You mean the head of service?
Yes.
Well, who will be the prosecutor is a minor. Is minor available? Minor should be the star witness. Okay?
Interesting.
Yeah.
We will return to that aspect of the revelations emanating from Abdurrashid Maina's work. But just before we take a break, court documents obtained by a popular news medium reveals the following. You know, the former head of service, Steve Orosanye, was tried and acquitted. But court documents revealed that he said the entity, that's the Presidential Pension Reform Task Team, was not formally constituted as he claimed, perhaps Abdurrashid Maina claimed, and that he, Orosanye, did not sign any letter of engagement for the Pension Task Team. That was one of his revelations. He also talked about how Abdurrashid Maina extended the mandate of his committee, so to speak. Now, let me quote from the document. He said, Mr. Maina, however, went beyond his brief, changing the designation of his committee and expanding the scope of his team's assignment. He noted that the pension reform task was to be a once-and-for-all assignment, and facilities were set up in the office of the head of service to capture all outstanding. So how come the work of Abdurrashid Maina became expanded if this was, how it was supposed to, how it was designed, how it was supposed to run according to Steve Orosanye?
Well,
and do you contend this revelation?
Now, first of all, we are not part of this trial.
Okay.
And at a point...
But you're a member of the task team.
The task team was never arranged with the Orosanye. And at a point when Maina was mentioned, we did send a lawyer, Barrister Esto Zoma, to that same court and asking those who were prosecuting Orosanye to put Maina on trial. As I speak to you, they never. Under Steve Orosanye, the only area that was being looked at was the head of civil service. Okay? But under Afolabi, he included the police pension. Okay. And it was when police pension came that the issue was changed. The nomenclature was changed from pension reform to president. Because as at that time, the president became aware of the fact that over 282 billion had been recovered in cash.
In cash?
In cash. Assets and properties, about 1.6 trillion had been recovered. That had been corroborated by then Minister of Finance, according to Minister of Economy, Konjiwala, when she appeared before the Senate, that she asked for evidence, and Maina provided evidence to her. And that in 2012, from that funds that Maina provided, they factored in 74 billion of it to fund the 2012 budget. So these are issues that are documented. So when the heat was coming up, people were taking sides. Those who were benefiting, especially, knew that they must stop this work at all, because under 11 months, 43 individual companies were on trial, 282 billion recovered cash, 1.6 trillion assets seized and considered by EFC and ICPs. The trials are ongoing. And just from two pension offices, the head of civil service pension office and the police pension office.
Out of 98 pension offices. Interesting. We will be finding out more about the revelations from the Presidential Pension Reform Task Team, particularly bordering on the work of Abdurrashid Maina and his colleague Ngosika Ihuoma. Stay with Fireworks. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. If you've been following us, our discussion in the last half hour has focused on one of the most talked about anti-corruption cases involving the former chairman of the Presidential Reform Task Team, Abdurrashid Maina, which was much of the talking point towards the end of the year 2017. We've discovered quite a lot in the course of our discussion. My guest, by the way, today is Comrade Ngosika Ihuoma, a member of the Presidential Reform Task Team and, of course, the Executive Secretary of the Legislative Watch. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
In January 2018, the Federal High Court, Abuja, restrained the National Assembly from further investigating the reinstatement of wanted former pension boss, Abdurrashid Maina. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, if he's so honest, if he's not guilty, as you have maintained he is since, you know, the hulabalo following his reinstatement last year, what is he afraid of? Why obtain an ex parte order preventing the National Assembly from investigating him? So what is he afraid of this time?
First of all, he didn't go to court.
Okay.
It was the Attorney General of Federation who was invited and went to court.
Okay.
So that must be said clear.
Okay.
And again, in our own usual style of making sure that at every point the issue of minor is being, just like we did when Orosoya was being quizzed, we sent in a lawyer to make sure that he is put on trial so that some side of the case could be heard and his innocence proved beyond doubt. When the Attorney General went to court, we equally sent a lawyer, okay, asking that we should know what is going on. So we didn't go to court. Minor never went to court to stop the Senate or House of Reps, no.
So it was in their bid to reinstating him and clear the way?
No, he has already been reinstated. So,
okay.
So those who are, and we have already appeared before the Senate and House of Reps.
But it was in their bid to stop the opposition to his reinstatement that they went to court?
Yes, the argument of the Attorney General is that the fact that the Federal Civil Service Commission is a constitutional body that has the right of engagement and the disengagement, promotion and discipline of civil servants, and that is not within the purview of National Assembly. That the appropriate body should be allowed to do their work. That is his argument. And
now, let's begin to put faces to what now. You claimed that before you got there, that was in our previous interview with you, that the office of the HOS was receiving 5.2 billion naira every month to service 285,000 pensioners. And after the biometric capture, you discovered that the HOS office needed only 1.7 billion naira. So where was the balance going before your work began?
That is a question that those who had manned those offices should be able to tell Nigerians. First of all, we wrote to the Minister of Finance and the Budget Office asking them not to make further releases of that kind of amount of money. And we can advance some evidence of the fact that that money has been reduced from the documents signed by the head of service, the Minister of Finance then, and the head of service that came, showing the accurate figures that were being deducted now.
But I recall you claimed in our earlier interview that every head of service before Steve Orosoye,
yes,
including the oversighting committee in the National Assembly,
yes,
are inevitably culpable
yes.
in the embezzlement of the balance of these funds.
Yes, we stand by that.
So
because from the Budget Office, what happens is that from the Budget Office, which Bright Okogu, then the DG of Budget Office confirmed, again, the head of service in particular was submitted about 248,000 names as pensioners to be paid. But after the biometrics, it was reduced about 70,000 pensioners. That's how the 5.4 billion came about. But when it was brought down, it got to about 1.6. Then about 50,000 pensioners who had never been captured before were brought in, and that took the this thing to about 1.7 trillion. So those who have been the head of service before Steve Orosoye came, we have insisted, knows where the funds went. Those who had oversight equally
in both chambers of the National Assembly
knows where these funds have gone to, because if they can ignorance, they say in law, it's not an excuse. That you don't know, you cannot, because first of all, the evidence is there now to prove that these funds in question have been overbloated.
I know you're trying to get some documents.
Yes, I'm trying to ascertain a few.
But while you do that, isn't it curious, if you can also pay attention at the same time, that it is the head of service, after that work that you carried out, that was tried and prosecuted for corruption?
The head of service?
Yes, Steve Orosoye.
No.
How do you explain his own trial, although he was acquitted? How do you explain it?
Good. No, he's acquittal. He's acquittal now, as far as we are concerned. It was a trumped-up charge. Okay.
Why?
It was a trumped-up charge because none of the accusation leveled against him could stand.
How come he was accused in the first place?
Now, that was a game plan by cabal in this present government. He was being tried.
Present
yes,
government.
He was being tried under this present government, not by the Jordan government that he worked. Okay. It was the same cabal that is after Minor now that made sure that Orosoye was being rubbished. And of course, Orosoye had appeared in March, April, before the House of Representatives, where he explicitly explained, even before the judgment, his role. Okay? First of all, when he came in, he made sure that he allowed the permanent secretary in the head of service handle issue of pension every other time. So he wasn't. It was when an incident happened that a woman who retired as assistant director was cooking under the staircase, which the incident got him shocking because every month he had been signing huge amount of money as head of service for pensioners. Only to discover that a assistant director had been under the staircase cooking for over a year, not being paid. And that was where he set up a team. They want to find out what is happening, only for them to discover that Minor on his own has started in SIPO, Customs, Immigration, Prison Pension Office in Babylada. He had introduced biometrics. He had been able to sanitize that area. That was what qualified Minor to be brought in to head this task. What you have done, the science you have brought in into SIPO to clean up the place. So Orosoye invited him, come over and head this inter-ministerial task team. First of all, they had no budget. There's no budget given to that task team. They did not take over the mandate of the staff of the head of service. No, what they did was they became co-signatories to those accounts so that you can't make withdrawals if they don't know. So as to put a check. And that was exactly what happened. But they were not the authority. The authorities there were retained, but they had kind of an oversight based on their intelligence work, what they were doing. So now Orosoye finished and left. Afolabi took over and finished and left. Salim took over and left. All these were head of service that came before this administration came in. Now, the cabal who we are now being laid by the present head of service, which we have insisted, knows how Orosoye was put on trial by trumped-up charges. And that was why when Minor was mentioned, we will send a lawyer to ask that Minor should equally be put on trial. And they never. Because they knew that Minor coming in will make the whole water down the whole and set off.
Minor will open the can of
Yes, he will open up the can of her. So,
okay, now if these records are in public domain and Abdurrashid Maina is innocent, why is the FCC going after the wrong guy? Why is the FCC going after him, not after those who records can reveal partook in the embezzlement that you discovered while you did your work?
EFCC, we have said.
And the EFCC was a member of your team.
It's a member of the team. And this is the trick that have been played to Nigerians. They are the people who are the coercive powers in the task team. Okay? If the task team discover that a particular bank is being used, the task team has no mandate to go after it. But the EFCC, the ICPC had the constitutional mandate. The law provided, so they move in and take possession. Minor's own case is to ask questions. Where are the funds? Have they been domiciled in central bank? Is there evidence to that? Where are the properties? Have they been seized? Are the court papers there? And this thing, so that he could put up his report to the head of service and all this. But prosecution, it is the EFCC, the ICPC that are prosecuting. All the matter, like the John Yusuf issue, is the task team. Okay? And if the task team have been around, by now so many people will have been convicted because the evidence was clear. But as long as the task team is not there, there is nothing to lay before the court. EFCC on their own know that they are part of the task team. And what they are working, and Minor happens to be the chairman.
It doesn't explain why the EFCC is not going after the guys who are culpable.
No, they cannot go against Minor. They cannot go against, because the evidence is there that these people are innocent. But they are being used. They are being used now to...
I don't understand that.
Yes.
They can't go against who?
They can't go against themselves. Because they have no appropriation to work with. Unless...
But they have evidence from your work.
Yes.
That can help them pursue those who embezzled funds.
Good.
The former heads of service before Orosoye.
Yes.
The members of the National Assembly Oversighting Committee.
The permanent secretaries, the Minister of Finance.
Why isn't the EFCC going after these guys?
These are questions that should be thrown back to them. At least they have the evidence. These are equal.
Instead, the EFCC has discovered houses that perhaps they claim were illegally acquired by Abdurrashid Maina. They also discovered billions of naira in the account of his 7-year-old. How do you explain all of this?
Good. These are issues. When that issue came up, Maina has approached a Kaduna High Court, asking the EFCC to come and show evidence. And you'll be surprised and shocked that when they say they declared him wanted, they came to the court and told the court that they never declared him wanted. These are court papers. Okay, so Nigerians are being deceived. But our worry is that this government has benefited from Miner's intelligence gathering, up to the tune of about 1.3 trillion have come in between 2016 and 2017, and more work is being done. He has given more intelligence to them, and he deserves to be protected. He deserves to return to his work. So there is no document that Miner will be accused of that BG Kagama would not know. And when he appeared before the House of Reps, he made it clear that he was more or less an assistant, a deputy to him, even though 2 of them were deputy directors. And today, he has been promoted. He's a director in the Pension Transition Directorate. Okay? He has never been invited by anybody. And he is a co-signatory with Miner. So these are the kind of things. But because Miner is an information scientist, he knew the technology. There is what we call account padding with the banks. He knew how the systems operated.
Does this suggest that the banks were also culpable?
No. That is even we are talking about a situation where in police pension, 300 million naira was being withdrawn every day from a First Generation bank. Has that bank been invited? We have talked about a situation where an individual had 77 accounts in one branch of a Second Generation bank. Is that bank under trial? These things we have mentioned, we have made clear. So the forces that are against Miner, the cabal that is working against it, are the beneficiaries. And they know that as long as Miner is around the president, around the presidency, within the country, is a free citizen, that they will never have a rest.
Mr. Ihuoma, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
And we wish you all the best in your activism, particularly on your work at the Presidential Pension Reform Task Team.
It's my pleasure.
Need I say more? The information emanating from this edition of Fireworks speaks for itself. Join us again same time next week when we'll bring you another interesting, revealing edition of the program. On behalf of the crew, I am Bukola Samuel Wilima. Bye for now.